This is the shir of Chav Hei Tishrei. Chav Hei. This is a very interesting letter. It's a very unusual letter. Because Alter Rebbe wrote this letter to defend the Baal Shem Tov. And what's interesting about it is that there's a letter from the Rebbe where he's defending the Friedrich Rebbe Zasicha, also from Tanya of Misnagdim. And he finishes off that letter. Look on page Kufman Beit Maral for a minute. Look at page Kuf Mei, last line. Hine atem reisim pirush maimer echad misfarnam hayedum dugmul eis. Right? Ki gam kol maram atmum yeshlon pirush ubir heitev liyedechin. The Rebbe quotes word for word this lashon from the Rebbe. Hine atem reisim pirush maimer echad. It's a hezbollah from the Rebbe on a sicha from Friedrich and Rebbe, where the Friedrich Rebbe tells a story about one of the Alter Rebbe's Hasidim who translated the words Akavia ben Ma'alal Eloim. He translated the Piate von Adaven Zogt. Akavia ben Ma'alal, the heel, Akavia Lashon Ekev. Ma'alal Lashon Hilul, Akavia ben Ma'alal Eloim, the Piate von Adaven Zogt. It's a whole arichas, it's a story. So that when the Rebbe printed this story in Chicago, so the Misnagdim came out and said, Stusam v'avolim narishkeiten. So the Rebbe answered it. It's the Rebbe's answer is go'oinus, because he doesn't just answer, he goes through a whole series of madregis where you see in Teresh Balpeh the idea of being Medayak B'Shem. Very interesting. But anyway, this is not the Rebbe, this is the Alter Rebbe. But the Alter Rebbe wrote a letter in defense of the Baal Shem Tov. Chafei, lahavenim rebina, to understand words of wisdom, mashakasu b'sefer hanika tzavos harivosh, to explain what's written in Sefer Tzavos harivosh. Now the meaning of the word Tzavos harivosh means the will of Rebbe Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. Hagam, first of all, Sheb Emes Ein Tzava Asay, it's not his tzava at all. Moreover, nor did he instruct these ideas before he passed away. Rakeim, but rather it's Lakuti Yemreisa Vateheres, it's a collection of his pure sayings. Shaliktu, which were collected, Lakuti Basa Lakuti, a collection on top of a collection. And it was published as Tzavos harivosh. In other words, Tzavos harivosh is not a tzava. It's Teiros in the Baal Shem Tov, and it's a likut from different people and from different signoinim. In other words, it's not a Baal Shem Tov sefer. It's a Baal Shem Tov, it's a sefer of compilations of Teiros of the Baal Shem Tov, that because it came out after he passes away, it's called Tzavos harivosh. But he can't call the Baal Shem Tov's a sefer. He calls Baal Shem Tov's Teiros. Right? And of course, there's two svarim on that. It's Tzavos harivosh, and then of course there's Keser Shem Tov, which are really likutim from other svarim. You know, most of the Teiros of Baal Shem Tov we have come from the Toldus and the Sidlikover, Degel Machne Ephraim. These were people who wrote down Teiros of Baal Shem Tov, and a lot of these Teiros made it into these svarim. Okay, says Alter Rebbe, V'layadu l'chavna lashon al maskunte. They could not understand how to record the language of the Baal Shem Tov with a perfect measure. Later on Daf Kufma Malaf, near the bottom of the page, he writes, Ki ha-Baal Shem Tov zal hoyu eimer divitere b'lashon Yiddish, Beis Lamed Aleph, b'lashon Yiddish. Shem Tov spoke in Yiddish. And v'lei b'lashon HaKedesh. So therefore, the person who transcribed it was transcribing a translation, and vice versa, he wasn't medayik properly in Lashon Baal Shem Tov, and as a result, he wrote the Lashon Sharsa rather than the Lashon Hislapsha, and the Alter Rebbe makes from this diuk the issue that the Misnagdim's taina was that since it said Sharsa means Gilei Elokos, even though the Misnagdim themselves didn't understand. The Alter Rebbe learned more into the Misnagdim's kasha than the Misnagdim intended. But it's supposed to be Hislapsha, and by writing the word Hislapsha instead of the word Sharsa, the kasha goes away. But the intent is precise, absolutely true. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, I'm going to explain one Teirah from Tzavos harivosh. Like I told you before, he's using this as an explanation to answer, to quiet the Misnagdim. I'm going to explain one Teirah. And you'll see from this that you shouldn't laugh. Now this Teirah from Baal Shem Tov is literally 3 lines. It's Tzavos harivosh. I looked it up. It's 3 shooters. And the Alter Rebbe has 3.5 blot. So he really shows you people can live in a perverter. It's by prefacing a Maimer Azal called a case that it says in Svarim. Any person who gets angry, kill Eved Avodah Zarah, v'chol of its akmat of worshipping Avodah Zarah. I'm sure you know the Bavusta problem. There's no such Maimer Azal. It's a Rambam in Hilchas Deis, and the Ram writes, Omer Azal kol ha-keis kill Avodah Zarah. There's no such Chazal. It's a Zayar. This is one of the famous rayas that the Rambam must have seen the Zayar, not just learned Kabbalah, but seen the Zayar, because there's no Maimer Chazal like this. There's a similar Maimer Chazal, and think of Masechta Avodah Zarah, but this Lashon Kol HaKeis Kil Eved Avodah Zarah, which the Rambam brings la halacha, the only mukkah for it is a Zayar.
Zayar is referring to Razal?
Of course, it's in the time of Tanoim. Yeah. I'm sorry? I think he says Lashon Omer Razal. It's in Hilchas Days. I think he says Omer Razal Kol HaKeis Ki Lev Dvedezar. Okay, now V'atam move on liyedei bina. The reason why a person who gets angry is equivalent to worshiping idols understood to people who are understanding. And what is it he understands? That Lefisha Beis Kasi, at the moment that a person gets angry, that means, in other words, that Nistalka Mimenu Amuna, you have a lack of faith. Because you get angry at people. You don't get angry at God. Angry at God's not going to help you. Forget, angry at God wouldn't be such a problem. It's when people get angry, they get angry at the immediate cause. The person who slapped you. The person who curses you, as you see the Lashon inside from them. You don't get angry at the Eibush, they get angry at the direct cause. So you're not believing it comes from the Eibush. And if a person would truly believe that what happened came from the Eibush, he could not be angry at anybody. He certainly could not be angry at anybody but the Eibush himself, and not at the person at whom his anger is directed. And therefore, when you're getting angry, you're indicating that you believe that the person who wronged you, and that's an infant of Avodah Zarah. Even though it was a human being. Shubal Bachir with free will. Makalale curses you. Or Makeyu or hits you. Or Mazik Mamayni or damages your property. And as a result, the raya that person is doing it is that he's guilty, he's liable. If the Eibusha did it, why should anybody be chayav for any kind of damages he does to any other person? A person burns your house down, the Eibusha burnt your house down. The teretz is because he has b'chira, and he's chayav al reya b'chirosei. For his poor choice, right? Al reya b'chirosei for his bad choice. Even though that person did naveda and he's liable for it, still ala nizek v'nigzim min hashamayim. The person who was damaged, it was determined from heaven. And if it was not that this person damaged you, the damage would come to you a different way. So he's chayev for being the bad shliach. But you shouldn't get angry because he's only the Meibish's shliach as far as you are concerned. Now, of course, when you start getting into the higher madrigas of Hashgacha Pratis, l'cha'eda, the Hashgacha is about that person's bechira as well. Look at the Sichas Chelekei, the Rebbe writes that after the fact, even in Yom of Teda Mitzvahs is also about Hashgacha Pratis. But the Alter Rebbe doesn't make that point here. The Alter Rebbe says somebody else could have done it to you. That person did it makes him responsible. That it happened to you came from the Eibush, they shouldn't be angry at that person. Moreover, at that particular moment, and this is the Ikeh Chedesh of Baal Shem Tov, it's not only you shouldn't be angry at that person because the Eibush did it to you, but even at the moment that person is hitting you, or cursing you, you should know that mislabish bay, it's manifest in him, a power from the Eibush and the ear of his mouth. In other words, the Asius of the Eibush, which have Sayah Mitzias and Sayah Neshama, Hevel, and a sound. Hamachayeyu umakaime, which is giving him life and existence, that means neshama and guf, while he's doing the Aveda. He brings the pasuk. It's a very, very strange ayah. Ki adeshem amalek aleh. That Hashem told Shimi to curse David HaMelech. Of course, you know the story. David HaMelech ran away from his son of Shalom. And on the way out of Yerushalayim, Shimi ben Geda was one of the most powerful people in Israel, and a Gaon, such a big Gaon that the Gemara says that David HaMelech was intimidated by the Gainus of Shimi, and he joined forces with Avshalom. So he cursed David HaMelech up and down. When Avshalom was killed and David came back to Yerushalayim, so Shimei ben Geda came out to apologize. And David swore to him that he's not going to hurt him. Api Allah, he was not allowed to do that. Because Melech shemochel al kvede ein kvede mochel, which is why David told Shlomo HaMelech he should see to it, vasisa b'chochmasecha, v'leiteire de sevase b'shalom sha'el. Sevase b'shalom. He should not let him die in peace. And David Shlomo HaMelech had to make a whole trick that he should be made at Malchus again. They should be able to kill him. Because David was in a Mamid Matzav of Simcha. It was Mamid of Simcha time Geshvarim that he won't hurt him. Right, exactly. So there's a very strange pasuk that David HaMelech didn't get angry at Shimi because Hashem Amalek. It's a pasuk in Tanakh. It's not a Gemara, it's a pasuk. Hashem told him to curse. So the Alter Rebbe Hechan Amal Shimi. When did Hashem tell Shimi to curse? Ela the teretz is Shamachshava zu this thought Shinafal Shimi believe. That entered into the heart of Shimon. And of course, before it entered into his heart, to Beche in its brain. It came from the Eibush in the wind of Hashem's mouth. Now, I don't think, now you're going to start arguing with me. It's, the word that the Alter Rebbe is trying to say is, the chayes that Shimi needed to be able to curse came from the Eibush. The choice to curse is Shimi's. But Shimi cannot curse without the Eibush helping him curse. So the Eibush doesn't give him curse, Shimi's going to choke. Hashem doesn't give him Ruach, Piv, Hashem doesn't give him air, he can't speak. So Hashem is allowing Shimi to curse David HaMelech. So the Eibush is a shutaf in that choice. The Eibush doesn't let Shimi, he can't curse. Hashem gave him the koyach to curse, the possibility to curse, right? And this is really the issue of contention later on in the Igeres HaKedesh, Hislapsha versus Shorsa. So what does that mean, Hashem? Like, so the Alter Rebbe is mazba pipnimis ha'anyonim. What does it mean? Hashem amalei, amal could be machshava. Hashem created the possibility. His machshava for Inyan of Klala. But your point is well taken. I mean, okay. Bishash adi bedvarim edul leDavid. What he spoke to you was David HaMelech. Ki'ilu nistalik. Ruach pivias barak recha echad. Meruch Hashem, if the Eibush would take away the power that is animating the guf and the mitzias of Shimi, le'yachal le'dabe me'uma, he would not be able to speak at all. So the fact that David HaMelech, that Shimi cursed, was the Eibishter's keach. And if you read the words of the Alter Rebbe is not saying that the Eibishter made him curse. That his curse was with the keach of the Eibishter. So you cannot say that the Eibishter did not approve of it. If the Eibishter wouldn't approve of it, it wouldn't be. Chachafilu, that means at the Bechir of Shimi, he was chayiv. Now notice another thing, that the regular year and the leap year doesn't start the same day. The Chiddush is off by one line. It's one of those things that drive you bananas. The Firkeba wants something here. This is Ad Kan Ashir in the Shana Muberes. In the Shana Pshuta be one more line. Okay.